They say every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you. If you're reported for any corrupt practice, you'll be investigated, prosecuted, and punished. Corruption is harmful to our nation. Join the campaign against it by reporting any corrupt practice to ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Let we join hands with ICPC, make them better.
Let's make Nigeria great again.
ICPC, they want you.
Come on, and for corruption.
Break the chain of corruption now. Don't give, don't take. This message is brought to you by ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Welcome to Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. I am Hawa Sani Garba. The Scandinavian countries of New Zealand, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and others have been consistently rated by Transparency International, a global anti-corruption watchdog, as the least corrupt nations in the world in recent years. While Nigeria and many other African countries have always suffered poor ratings on the same index. We went to town to find out from Nigerians why they think corruption thrives in Nigeria. Take a look at this.
That lead people to corruption. For example, let's take it to the public service or civil service. I think is when they are not cutting their coats according to their cloth. What I mean is our needs are insatiable. You cannot satisfy human needs now, but you need to would your needs be in tandem with the resources you have at hand. And also, government has a duty in this fight against corruption in this direction by, if the civil servants are really paid well, like if someone gets to a position of a director and he has a lot of bills to take care of. Some of them have children in schools, higher institutions, and how much are they earning? And they have bills to pay like house rent and the rest of things. So one might be tempted to go extra mile to get extra cash to solve his problems. So government should do something about workers' pay. They should derive more benefit. There should be incentives. When you have incentives for the work you're doing, I think you'll be able to hold yourself. You hold yourself from temptations of taking money, extra money.
I'll say there are two major factors that lead people to engage in corrupt practices. One, materialism, which I'll still put under greed, and two, poverty. You know, sometimes poverty leads to desperation, and in that anything goes for you as long as the cash enters your pocket. You could have so many, due to responsibilities and you want to meet up, and you know that maybe the income you're getting, your monthly income is not enough from where you work. Maybe in a month you have a need of 100,000 naira, and in a month you're paid 30,000 naira. You tend to look for other means to get that money. And if you're in an office where you can see some other things, where you can, okay, instead of us buying this thing 10 naira, let's put 20 naira so you can meet up with some of those demands. I think those are a little bit of the factors that lead to corruption on a scale, on a basic scale. Well, if it's on a larger scale, I'll think it as materialism and greed. If it's corruption on a larger scale, like in most government offices, like governors and all these things, I'll say it's corruption and greed, and the ability to acquire more and more and more. So those are the two things I think will lead to corruption. All right.
The challenge in Nigeria: job insecurity, societal insecurity, and the fact that the civil unrest. Some people think that they have to maybe build fences. Multiple. In fact, I saw a house recently that had about 4 barbed wires, and I was wondering, this is a cell, okay? And so when we don't feel secure, there's a tendency that we want to acquire more, regardless of how we acquire it, even if it means at the expense of others. I think part of what has even helped the whole world globally is that most of us believe that there is a God, and that factor restrains some of us. But it is in a situation where hunger. I mean, there's a limit as to which you can go. If you are perpetually hungry, there's a tendency that you may become more corrupt in certain areas. But basically, I think it's insecurity from the way I look at it.
So there's a lot of factors to it. One is ignorance, the other one is lack of maybe education, insensitivity, and then the system. When you have a corrupt system, that is where I'm really looking at, coming from. My take is when you have a system that is bad, there is no way the product of that system can be clean. You understand? Take it from me, a process that is not clean, ab initio, there's no way a product that is coming from that system or that process can be clean. Okay, so these are some of the things that if we really want to deal with corruption, we must go back. The people that is talking about corruption right now, how clean are those people? Okay, the process that brought those people that is talking about corruption right now, what is that process? What is the product? What is, that whole system that brought them? That is the problem. So if you brought me to come and talk about corruption and you brought me through a corrupt process, how am I supposed to talk to you who put me there? Do you understand? There's no way I can talk to you. If you bring me into your company through a funny way, you cannot expect me to act unfunnily when a funny process brought me in. Do you understand? So that is my take to it. That is.
Welcome back. Ruth Awodi is standing by to give us updates on happenings in the commission. Over to you, Ruth.
Thank you, Hawa. Welcome to this segment. ICPC has secured the conviction of a former House of Representatives member, Honorable Salihu Ndanosa Dauda, a staff of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, Mr. Nsa Oyok Edet, and one Mr. Solomon Aduku, who is now at large at the Federal Capital Territory High Court, number 19 Jabi, Abuja, for offences of making false statements, conspiracy, and impersonation of public officers. Details of the offences on which the defendant's conviction was based reveal that Mr. Nsa, in connivance with Honorable Salihu, created a false case file which they claimed emanated from ICPC and presented it to the Director, FCT Treasury, Mr. Ibrahim Bomai, with the aim of extorting money from him. The file contained a petition and other financial documents allegedly belonging to the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, which indicated that FCTA received 18 billion naira from the Consolidated Revenue account of the federal government, and that Mr. Bomai and the former Minister of FCT, Mr. Bala Mohammed, had shared the money between them. Knowing that the allegations were false, Mr. Bomai lodged a complaint against the defendants, which led to their being arrested and charged to court by ICPC. For the 5-count charge brought against the defendants, Justice Senchi sentenced them each to 6 months imprisonment or a fine of 50,000 naira on each count for false statement and impersonation, and 12 months imprisonment or a fine of 50,000 naira each for conspiracy. However, considering the mildness of the sentence imposed on the convicts, the Commission has concluded plans to file an appeal for stiffer punishments for the convicts as contained in Section 25 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. In order to boost the efficiency of its anti-corruption campaign, the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, in collaboration with ICPC, recently reconstituted its Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit. The inauguration was combined with a short induction workshop for the new members to equip them with requisite knowledge that would assist them in performing their duties. The representative of the chairman of ICPC, Mr. Justin Kwatse, Assistant Commissioner, Corruption Monitoring and Evaluation Department, CMED, in his goodwill message said the event would go a long way in showcasing ICPC's determination to fight corruption through the support of stakeholders.
The ICPC came in when Nigeria was the second most corrupt nation in the whole world, rated by Transparency International as the second most corrupt nation in the world. So it was something that needed to be actually addressed. Nigerians who participated at that conference said it would not be enough just to allow only ICPC. That time there was even no EFCC. to allow only ICPC to fight corruption in Nigeria, then they wouldn't be able to make it. You know, for example, in the workplace, the corruption that takes place here happens inside secret files and papers and meetings. So how would we know? Do we see that the ICPC is there? That something wrong is going on here. But would you hear now, immediately something is going on wrong, somebody from audit will flag it off, somebody from procurement flag it off, somebody from finance and account flag it off. Is that so? Somebody from admin flag it off. If you are afraid to handle it, tell it to the ICPC. But if you handle it, notify the ICPC.
In his vote of thanks, the Secretary of the ACTU, Mr. Sorai Victor, commended ICPC for the establishment of ACTU and promised on behalf of his team that they would do their best as a unit to move the ministry forward.
As a member of ACTU in this department or in this ministry, please, you are not being integrated to witch hunt. It's not witch hunting. It's doing the right thing at the right time. When you do the right thing, they will call you. Yes, we have seen your write-up. Yes, we have seen you. You have seen this, we have seen this. And it's not a chance. There are times that they look for people to stand in. And they remember this officer did like this, said like this. Let us look for him or her. It is now left for you to build yourself. It does not only stop here. Whatever you do here does not stop here. It takes you out to the outside world, to the political world, to the economic world, to the material world. The resource person has given us the processes, the duties, what is expected of you. Please, I want us to keep track of this.
The spokesperson of ICPC, Mrs. Rashidat Aduni Okodowa, MNI, has called for people to always speak up against corruption, human trafficking, and other social ills bedeviling the nation. She made this call when she received the founder and some members of the Next to None Support Initiative, a non-governmental organization, who were on a courtesy visit to the Commission's headquarters in Abuja recently. Speaking on their mission, the leader of the group, Mr. Ndukwe Sam Obu, revealed the philosophy behind the founding of the Next to None Support Initiative, which, according to him, was to fight certain social ills in the society like corruption, human trafficking, and prostitution. He explained that it was against this backdrop that the NGO was planning to carry out a project for the production of a documentary and a movie that would focus on issues of human trafficking and corruption, hence was requesting for ICPC's collaboration.
ICPC, for one, we are always seeking to expand our horizon in terms of reach into the society. We very well know that reforming society cannot be done by 1, 2, 3 government agencies alone. It cannot even be done by government itself alone. It has to take the concerted effort of everybody involved, everybody that is a part of the country. The citizens have their own role to play. Civil society has an organized set of of bodies that speak for the rest of society, also have their part to play. So in view of that, we very much welcome the idea of Next to None seeking to collaborate with us, albeit on the platform of a project for NAPTIP. And in actual fact, this is a very good, would I call it, initiative on the part of, I don't know who suggested this multi-stakeholder role. I think you said it. You said you suggested it to NAPTIP. This is a wonderful idea to have interagency, this kind of reaching out to other agencies to say, come be part of what we're doing, because we're all in a related business and in terms of a related aspect of what government is doing, because fighting corruption is not all that government is doing. But you haven't gone to the Ministry of Health, for example, or no, you haven't gone to the Ministry of Lands or whatever as collaborator in this project. So to have a multi-stakeholder approach to something is a wonderful initiative. So this is very welcome to ICPC. And if memory serves me right, this is one of the, if not the first, it will be one of the first set of, initiatives we are having there, whereby from the NGO's perspective, you are including all the stakeholders in a project.
It is next to none support initiative to bring about a documentary that will be able to showcase this argument about how Europe underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rodney is losing time and weight, as it were. Rather, we Africans are the ones putting ourselves into this whole mess and this dastardly act, as it were. Now, as a next to none support initiative, we are not just saying we are fighting human trafficking. Human trafficking is very, very large, as it were, because you find out that there are a lot of corrupt practices in it. You find out that drug associated to it. You find out prostitution associated to it, murder, crime, and other related matters. We now deem it necessary to also have all and sundry that are stakeholders in this documentary shoot and incorporate all and sundry once and for all. It would have been a different thing if we had gone to NAPTIP, have a documentary. Next year we'll come to ICPC and say we're having a documentary shoot on corruption. So what we did was we thought it deep. We were able to convince the NAPTIP DG. How about having other stakeholders in it? That's how we started writing the likes of EFCC, ICPC, sports ministry and all that, so that it becomes all-inclusive product, so to speak.
Speaking on the project, Mrs. Okodwa commended its conception. She lamented the menace of human trafficking while pointing out that it was poverty arising from corruption that makes young people allow themselves to be cajoled into seeking greener pastures overseas without weighing the attendant risks, hazards, and consequences. The ICPC spokesperson assured the group of the Commission's willingness to work with them and described the collaboration of different agencies of government on the project as a welcome development. That will be all on this segment. Back to you, Hawa.
Corruption not in my country.
Now, yeah?
Yes, Oga.
Okay.
Where I go come find 300 naira change?
I better try look for change now. Don't they do business? Hey, Timmy. I did, bro. I be. I beg, give me 200 naira. Make I take sort out this guy. If let's no get change.
Okay, give us.
I said 200.
Give her 100 naira.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree to pay 200 naira.
How much you think they carry people from that place we carry on the chair?
Okay.
What they touch me?
Now 100 naira. He agreed to pay.
Because that was what you said was the fair. Why you not go pay you? Why you they extort your customer? You see this corruption, what would they hear for news? They see for people everywhere. Now be this so. This is corruption, not in our country.
Stop corruption now.
If you are just tuning in, this is Corruption Must Go. While Nigerians have expressed their own opinions on why the country is regarded as corrupt, Corruption Must Go has done its own research and has come up with its findings that some of the opinions are actually expressing the manifestations of corruption. Expert studies have, however, revealed that the Scandinavian countries that we talked about earlier have some traits in common which have made them how they are. These countries typically have a long tradition of government openness, civic activism, and social trust with strong transparency and accountability mechanism in place, allowing citizens to monitor their politicians and hold them accountable for their actions and decisions. Corruption thrives when government business is enshrouded in secrecy. It also thrives when bureaucracy and bottlenecks cause delays in the passing of budgets. When salaries are delayed, workers tend to start thinking of other ways to substitute their income, and this paves way for corruption. Mrs. Azuka Ogugwa of the Education Department gives us her views on some of the reasons people engage in corrupt practices.
Okay. In my opinion, there are many factors, and one of the factors is represented in what is called the fraud triangle. The fraud triangle was developed by Donald Cressy, and it says the causes of corruption. The first one is what is called pressure. It can be family pressure, financial pressures based on our life. It can be based on our lifestyle, but when people feel they need a serious need for money, their funds are not enough to meet their needs, that can lead to corruption. Secondly is the opportunity. If the person is in a position to be corrupt, has access to funding, has access to the processes that encourage, that have the funding is available to them, money or power or authority, using that opportunity wrongly is one of the causes of corruption, because the opportunity is there. And then the third one is rationalization, a situation where someone says that other people are doing it and I don't care if since other people do it and they get away with it, I can as well do it. Those are the three major causes identified by Ronald Cressy. But then this has been updated to include a fourth component called capability. In a situation where somebody has the pressure, the opportunity, and the rationalization, but doesn't have the capability. So the fraud triangle has been expanded to include a fourth aspect, and is now called the fraud diamond, to include opportunity, pressure, rationalization, and capability. These are factors that can cause corruption. Other reasons that people are corrupt are things that are personal to them, includes the lack of fear of God. Many Nigerians go to churches and mosques, but what they believe, what the religion teaches, they don't really practice it. So they believe that God says we should not steal, but they steal, and they lie, and they cheat. So that lack of fear of God, that courage, that lack of courage to practice our religion is a major cause of corruption in Nigeria. And another one is extreme materialism. People now look at things and want to purchase things. They want to acquire more property. This is not helped by the various adverts we see on the media, the mass media, the social media, flashing a very interesting, ostentatious lifestyle before people. So they want to be like that, and so the pressure is there to acquire more. Sometimes there are flawed systems. The systems have loopholes that enable the people to be corrupt. You can see a situation where the person at the top has very wide monopolistic powers and large discretion without commensurate oversight and supervisory mechanisms in place. Those are the causes of corruption. That also speaks to the opportunity, because it is those that are at the top, those that have the opportunity, that this refers to. When there is wide powers, wide discretion, and little accountability, it can give rise to corruption.
A study on Finland, one of the Scandinavian countries, concluded that their very enviable anti-corruption approach is a model that has been based on public trust and transparency. So, if you desire a corruption-free Nigeria, do not look the other way when you see a corrupt act taking place. Do your bit. Shun corruption and report to ICPC using this number, 0800 call ICPC. That's our package on this week's edition. You can watch the program on our YouTube channel. www.youtube.com/ICPC Nigeria. See you again next week. Bye for now.